So if we're live, can you please put a 1 in the chat? If you can hear me, can someone please put a 1 in the chat? Hello, hello, hello. Yes, we're live, I think. If you can hear me, can someone please put a 1 in the chat? Hello, everyone, and thank you. Welcome back to another episode of the Sussex Studio Podcast. Today's episode is going to be jam-packed. I have decided to go and do some research, and so today I'm going to begin with a disclaimer, but first let me say hello to everyone. Hello, Gwen, how are you? How are you? I hope that you are well. Hello, Sam, how are you? I hope that you are also well. So today we are going to begin with a disclaimer. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for letting me know that you can hear me. And I'm just going to get right to it. So disclaimer, all of the things that you hear in today's episode are alleged. This episode is an episode that is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please don't take anything in this episode as fact. Here's our our disclaimer. Before we embark on this intriguing journey into the world of royal mysteries, it is important to note that the views, theories, and speculations presented in this episode are purely for entertainment purposes. While we may draw on parallels to real-life events and literary works, it is all in the spirit of fun and intrigue. Yay! The Sussex Studio Experience podcast is a platform for exploration. Wow, did you guys hear that? And discussion. But it is essential to remember that the, should I say disappearance, the alleged, the fact that we haven't seen Katherine is purely fictional. So sit back, relax, please participate, and enjoy the ride as we delve into the depths of imagination and curiosity. Ooh. Connie Balmer, hello. How are you all? So, we have been talking for a while about the fact that we haven't seen, allegedly, the Princess of Wales for a while. And it feels interesting to me, right? So I put together this episode and I was thinking a little bit about unsolved mysteries as a kind of lead up. And I was always also thinking about, there's this poem by Robert Browning. Are you all familiar with Robert Browning? He's he's considered a classical poet, and he wrote this poem entitled My Last Duchess. So we're going to be drawing parallels, and instead of having a song of the day, we're going to have a poem of the day. And our poem is My Last Duchess. Ooh. This classic work provides a lens through which we can view the current mystery surrounding, allegedly, Princess Katherine. So I'm going to begin just by reading a few of the words, but let's take a look at our thumbnail today. What is the truth? Do we know? We do not know. So I see in this thumbnail, it looks like Princess Meghan is there, and there is a mystery that's happening. I see footprints, I see an ambulance, I see a princess's portrait, and the princess looks a little bit different than the princess normally looks. So, how do we figure out what's happening with this mystery? It looks like that there is someone that might be on the case. So where in the world is Catherine? SanDiego? I don't know. So let me change slides and get on to number 2. So with respect to this case, there are lots and lots of conspiracy theories going around. And what also is happening with respect to this case is we see the Duchess getting a lot of undeserved, unwarranted attention. It looks like, in a way, allegedly throwing a rock and hiding your hands. Ooh, we don't want people to be having this conversation, allegedly, around where is the Princess of Wales, right? Instead, we want the world to be talking about whatever Meghan is doing. And if we're talking about what Meghan is doing, then we are not clearly talking about the Princess of Wales. Ooh. So, I think that we've gotten a bunch of clues around the disappearance of the princess, and this painting that we looked at a while ago might provide some of the clues. So what do we see? We see a kind of detective who is investigating, and we see clearly the face of the monarch. And we also understand that there is the monarch butterfly that's somewhere behind all of this tape. And also with respect to the media, there is a kind of tape that they are bound in, allegedly. They cannot reveal facts or information that they have regarding the royals that are in power based on a kind of deal that we understand that they have. So, again, we're beginning with this poem by Robert Browning. And I'm just going to read a couple of lines to begin with, but it starts off like this, and it is alleged that this is really about the Medici family. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder now. Fra Pandolf's hands work busily a day, and there she stands. Will it please you to look at her? I said Fra Pandolf, and this was this guy who was a super famous painter at the time. So he's like this designer, you know, the Picasso, the Jean-Michel Basquiat of his time. So look at that painting over there. She is looking as if she were alive. Is she though? And who painted it? So, by design, for never-read strangers like you, that pictured countenance, the depth of passion in its earnest glance. So I'm going to move on a bit. So, what I wanted to say is that the squad is on the case, right? And so where can we find clues with respect to where the princess might be? I saw clues in the Tatler magazine's painting. I saw clues potentially in Prince Charles's painting. What is hidden behind there? Does the artist of the Tatler painting, not the Tatler painting, but the portrait of Princess Katherine that's featured in the Tatler, what does she know? Why did she paint Princess Katherine in that way, looking as if she might be in the same condition as Robert Browning's Last Duchess, right? So Browning's poem tells us of a duchess whose image is controlled and manipulated by the Duke, her husband. Her life, her expressions, and her interactions were all subject to his interpretation and his control. Is there a parallel here with Princess Katherine? Is someone controlling how and when we see her? I don't know. It feels like, to me, it feels like they are. So, the disappearance and public theories. The curtain I've drawn for you, but in Browning's poem, the Duke controls the narrative, much like the palace controls the narrative surrounding Princess Katherine's disappearance. It's been months since she was last seen, and the silence is deafening. The public is left to wonder and to speculate. Connie says, Professor Zinzi, I went to Apple and checked, to see if they can help me give a membership. They checked and said that you have to ask YouTube for membership log. Only then can I become a member. That's strange. I thought that it might be something on the front page. I will check into that, Connie. What do you guys think of this mystery? And Robert Browning in that parallel. Thank you for saying that, Connie. I'll look into it. So the Duke is in control. And that seems to me like what has been happening with respect to Princess Katherine. the Duke or her husband is in control of the narrative. And the public is invited to see Katherine through a curated lens, which looks to us like a kind of this image, if you will. So we have no idea of where Katherine is, and at the same time, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. She looks like a ghost. And so is the artist trying to give us clues with respect to where the princess is? I think that might be true, right? And so if she's giving us clues, what do we see? What kinds of things can we infer from this painting about where the princess might be? So we see her looking kind of ghost-like. We see her face, and her face looks very changed. We see that she still has, like there's a kind of regalness about her, but she does not look the same. She looks as if that she's been either changed for thee, or that this is not really her. And so could the artist be telling us that? We had another painting not so long ago with respect to King Charles, and it also looked like the artist was trying to tell us something in that painting. So the Zambian, the artist from the UK and from Zambia, she made this painting, and I'm wondering, it would be nice to have her come on the pod, right? I don't know what she would cost, or if she would do it, perhaps I can look into it. So when I think about the mystery surrounding Kate, there's also this thing that tells us to shut up and not ask questions, right? So back in January, we got the news that there was something going on and that she might be sick, but that it was not cancer. And then we got the news, I think it was in March, that said, well, actually, before that happened, we had, again, that expose that was about to come out, and it was TMZ. And before TMZ had a chance to release that expose, the same day, we got the news that there was that the Duchess was, the Princess, she has a couple of titles, was experiencing the pre-cancer symptoms and going through chemo, so that the public should allegedly be quiet, and why are you guys all being so cruel? And, it doesn't make sense that you guys are doing this to her. So that narrative was put out there, and the public, to me, it felt like we were being shamed into being quiet about where she could potentially be. Gwen says, Kate fell off the map when it came out about Andrew and the other men. So yeah, there is that conspiracy theory, right? And I'm going to go back to that one. The last slide. There's some other conspiracy theories out there surrounding the alleged disappearance of the princess. And there's also this whole thing that says, be quiet, don't talk about this. If you talk about this, you will be shamed. If you talk about this, then you are a bad person. And so my question has been, I think, throughout this entire time, not only those things, but there's also an attempt to put the Duchess, Meghan, and to make her somehow culpable by some people, but also let's look at her. Let us not discuss where Katherine is. We're going to change the subject completely, and we are going to explore not where Meghan is, but we are going to continue to hype up these media narratives and create media narratives so that you don't continue to ask questions. You're going to be shamed. Don't ask the questions. And then we're going to also talk about what Meghan is up to and how terrible allegedly that Meghan is. And so for me, this mystery, while the mystery unfolds, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, seems to be used as a kind of distraction. And there's a fixation by the media on Meghan, and it is relentless. And it's diverting attention away, in my opinion, allegedly, from what is actually happening with the Princess of Wales. Why is the media so obsessed with Meghan, who's thousands of miles away in Montecito? I don't know. I mean, does anybody else have, I know we have these questions around where is the princess and why are they constantly asking us not to look over and ask questions about Katherine, allegedly, but rather to ask questions about Meghan. And let's see what she's been up to, and let's continue to drive this narrative against her, right? So, Tamron Hall He is a famous talk show host in the US. And her sister was unalived after disappearing. Tamron Hall said, "When someone you love goes missing, a part of your heart goes missing too." This sentiment is echoed by many who feel a connection to Princess Katherine, allegedly. And what hurts more for a lot of people is that it's not just being echoed. It's like you guys have to be quiet and not talk about it. So the recent quiet unveiling of the portrait of Princess Katherine by the Zambian artist contrasts sharply with the grand painting of Prince Charles as the monarch making headlines. Is this a subtle hint at a changing royal dynamic, right? So that's what I want to know. Like, we have had two paintings where the artists seem to be being shady and or revealing some kind of clues about the people in the royal family. With respect to Catherine, the one that we see, and I'll put it back on the screen, is one of her looking not like herself. So is the artist telling her, you know what? Something has happened and Catherine is no longer as she once was. Is this mystery related to her sickness, as we've been told? Is this mystery related to her sickness and disappearance? And is this mystery related to her complete disappearance? Because now the latest thing that I've seen in media is that we won't be seeing Princess Katherine until 2025. So for me, like, when you think about seeing Princess Katherine in 2025, number one, yes, I'm concerned about Princess Katherine, absolutely. What is the media also going to be doing and fixating with respect to Meghan, the Princess Duchess, on? How are they going to use this time when we don't see Princess Katherine to continue to drive these false narratives? And also, remember when Meghan and her, Prince Harry talked about leaving, there was an insistence upon the narrative that we pay for you. We pay to see you, show us the goods. There's not the same insistence with respect to what's happening, at least as far as I can see, with respect to Princess Katherine. There is, however, an intense focus, and continues to be, on where Meghan and her husband are. And it seems like at the same time, they're continuing to drive this narrative around royal titles and what should happen, the royal titles that come from the UK royal family, and how these things are being monetized. And also, if they're being monetized, how come other people don't get the same attention and other people are not able to leverage their connection in the same way, right? Because Fergie, she has had book deals and she has not been in the public eye in the same way that Meghan has. There's not been a kind of fascination, a love for, and a desire to see and be consumed with every single part of her. And so if it is the case that Meghan and Harry are able to leverage their titles, and this is why they're so famous, what happens if you take the titles like you want to? The UK media is insistent that let's take the titles. So Gwen says they couldn't find any dirt. Psycho went nuts and did. Yeah, this is like how I've been thinking about this, and what is our responsibility? So we understand that the UK media has a responsibility, that, the BM media has a responsibility, that it seems to me that they've been shirking and they've been only focusing on our princess. It seems like that they're not asking questions. Absolutely. I'm sorry. They don't generate enough money, clicks, views, but H&M do. Even if it's negative, they generate money. Yes, and if we go down the diplomatic immunity route, if we talk about how the Prince of Wales has a kind of diplomatic immunity and something can be done and he can't suffer any consequences based on an act, he can suffer consequences with respect to the public and its discourse around him. And so, let's see, they better find her and leave Meghan alone. They come for our princess, we will come for theirs. So I'm saying, like, how can the British media shirk their responsibility around discovering where she is? it feels like a kind of more than malpractice. It feels to me like she's been abandoned, and that if everything belongs to allegedly the future king, the way they're supporting him and the fact that there's been no information released really at all except to shame the public with respect to where she is, then what is our responsibility? Is there, and I've asked this question and haven't been able to get any kind of good answer, what happens with respect to freedom of information? If you are a working royal and you are a working member of the monarchy and you're a member just in general of the public, even a private citizen has a right to have a safety check performed on them. Has there been? I cannot seem to find one. And I know that, like, for me over here in this country, I can't file a Freedom of Information Act. I'm not a citizen there. And also, I can't file a kind of report from here asking the question for someone to perform a safety check. And why should we believe, allegedly, what they're telling us? You know, like, you lied about the Frankenstein photo. You lied about everything that had to do with, there's no cancer, if you will, in January. You lied about where the children are. You lied about, there's so many lies that have been told and perpetuated. To me, it seems to keep the future king, if you will, safe. But that same energy does not happen for the Princess of Wales. And I don't understand that. How come she does not get, regardless to how a lot of people in the squad and other places feel about the way that our Princess Duchess has been treated, does she not have a right to, a kind of life where people can check on her to make sure she's safe? Kate doesn't have any real fans or friends. Yeah, her fans seem to be the people who are in control of the media. Her fans seem to be the people who want to keep the old guard doing the same kinds of things that it's been doing. Isn't that a kind of negligence, though, that we don't see the same energy for Princess Katherine, that we know that if we didn't see the Princess of Montecito, the Princess of Nigeria, we would be concerned and we would be in uproar about where she is. And at the same time, there's this whole, like I said, throw the rock and hide your hands. What's Meghan doing? Meghan did this, Meghan did that. And then a shaming that happens simultaneously. So we're being shamed, we're being told to shut up, and we're not getting information. And when we ask for information, then we're shamed. You're wrong, don't ask this, trust us. Why should we trust them when everything that they've told us allegedly has been a lie? I don't understand why people are not in uproar around where she is. And every time I've seen the husband, he's been, often up to some shenanigans, and he allegedly comes out when Prince Harry is doing something on that continent, on the continent of Europe. Then, we'll hear, William is not going to be doing anything, the Prince of Wales is not going to be doing anything. But as soon as Harry shows up to do whatever work he's doing, then it seems like a kind of perpetuation of this narrative around, I want to be seen, I want to be seen. You cannot shine the light on Harry because I'm the future king. And so yes, you are the future king, allegedly. But if something has happened to this woman, what happens in the line of succession? Who will stand and be king if, the king is sick? We've been also told. We got we got information about two different people that are in that family that are in high positions, that they're both sick. And then at the same time, there's this mystery. And so can somebody please tell me who will stand and be king if something happens to both of them? If there is this story, and the story that people are believing has actually happened to the Princess of Wales, what happens in the line of succession? Does he still get to be king? Do we have a regent king until George comes of age? Who's in that role? Is it Prince Andrew? Is it Edward? Is it Camilla? Does Camilla allegedly get to stand up in that case and be the monarch? Is that butterfly Camilla that's on that painting of Charles? So the squad we need to be on this case. We need to be figuring these things out, and we need to also be asking questions about why you over here trying to mess with Meghan. You know, a whole continent has her back, and a myriad of countries, different countries also have Meghan's back. And so they're not asking, in my opinion, the right questions. There seems to be no concern about where she is. And for me, it's heartbreaking that a whole human being could go missing since December, and then we get told, oh, she'll be back in next year. She's not going to be performing any duties until next year. But in the meantime, we see Charles out here hustling, right? He's out here hustling. He's out here doing all this work. And we're expected to just not say anything and to believe them, to trust them. I don't trust them. I don't believe them. And I also, I'm worried about where she is. So Gwen says she was so hateful she thought she didn't need friends. I think during these times of when we experience something like that, and if the worst thing is true, if the worst thing that could have happened to her has happened, what happens? If how does that get reported eventually? Does Prince George graduate from high school and we still don't see her? How many years can they postpone the viewing of the Princess of Wales and people not say anything? Now they're saying, give us another 500 days. Maybe next year at Christmas time, she'll be seen. And so next year at it was Easter, right? And that was a long time in January for us not to see her. And then after it was that, then the next thing it was, okay, she's going to be at this celebration. And then, oh, no, she's not going to be a Trooping of the Color now. And so now it's like, okay, she'll be seen sometime in 2025. And people are just sitting there not saying anything and trusting and believing in the state and in the media when we understand what tabloid media does, right? And so how do we help protect and try and figure out what's happening with the Princess of Wales, and so that we understand that she's okay, and the kids even more than that understand and know that their mom is being protected and that people are thinking about her in that kind of way. So that's what I'm thinking today. I don't understand why there is not discussion around the princess, and I don't understand why it doesn't seem like we're getting an explanation and that no one's on the case. So any thoughts, guys? Any thoughts on this subject? So I'll keep going if nobody has any thoughts that they want to share. So again, I was thinking about way back when I was in high school, this painting by Robert Browning, and how this person who had the narrator in the poem, the joke is that his wife was no more. That is the joke in the Robert Browning poem. So he's showing people this gorgeous painting that's on the wall, much like the image of Kate on Tatler. And at the same time, we see the image, but there's an understanding that something sinister has happened. And he's in power, and no one can do anything about it. And so, and so the Medici family, we understand too that there was a lot of intrigue that happened around that family. And right now there's a lot, at least from my perspective, and I think for some people in the squad, there's a lot of intrigue around where is the Princess of Wales. And we're not getting many answers. So what do? Do we just believe what they say? Or do we stand up and do we begin to try and fight for, to at least try and get some answers in the squad? So again, Tamron Hall, her sister, suffered from a lover, right? And so Tamron Hall does this kind of unsolved mystery show around her sister. So what picture, the picture offers us some clues, I think. I think the Zambian artist offered us also some clues about where the Duchess could be. And so what do we do with respect to these clues? Do we advocate for her in the squad? Or do we just say, you know what, she's not on our radar and we shouldn't even be having this conversation? What do you guys think? Are you interested in this conversation, or do you think that we should just sort of move on and talk about our own Princess Duchess and let them figure it out over there, and then when we find out what happens, then we go ahead and move on from that? Let's see. She was too focused on getting Will. Okay. Won't George be a regent? Adult person will be picked. Yeah, so will that be Camilla, though? And do we care if it's Camilla that is in this position? Because if King Charles is really, he gets even more ill, who's going to stand up for him? And then in the case of, if something happens and Will is not allowed, allegedly, to stand up and be king, who's going to be the regent? Is it going to be Camilla? Is it going to be Edward? Is it going to be Andrew? Because it also looks like Prince or King Charles is trying to put some things in place around Andrew. And also there's this whole thing about him trying to say that he doesn't want to pay for him anymore, and that he wants him to move, that King Charles doesn't want to pay for Andrew anymore, and he wants him to move into the Frogmore Cottage, and Andrew's not going gently into that good night. So the painting by the Zambian artist and the grandiose portrait of King Charles suggest a shift to me in royal focus. Is the palace preparing for a kind of public transition, subtly moving Catherine out of the picture? So that if it is true that we can see clues in the face of this painting that Catherine looks to be either really sick or no more, allegedly, is that a clue to us by the Zambian artist that Catherine is getting shifted out of the picture? The fact that we're not going to see her again until 2025, is she getting shifted out of the picture to make room for somebody else? That's what it kind of feels like to me. So Will and Kate are separated, trying to sort the divorce out. Okay, that's one of the things that I've heard too. Gwen doesn't want, there's nothing to be sorry about. There's nothing to be sorry about, Gwen, about being sick of the Kate drama. I think the thing that bugs me is that if any of these things are true, what does it say about the UK that, if we find out that she is no more, what does it say about a society when this has been allowed to happen? Right? So it can be fun to ask these questions, and it also can be kind of intriguing, if you will. Yeah, I've heard that. And I've also heard, I think the squad talked yesterday, some people in the chat, about yacht girls. And when the news surrounding yacht girls came out, that a lot of this drama started to take effect. And so if someone in the family allegedly happens to have participated in yacht girl culture, what happens as a result of that? I don't know. Joyce Anderson says, I think that is the UK's problem. Kate benefited from hate directed, and you don't. Okay, so she definitely, yeah, the whole thing with Camilla Tominey, that when she probably allegedly knew what the actual truth was with respect to that story, and still she came out being all salacious and switching the persons who said the thing to the other person and put it on Meghan, when she clearly, because she had probably understood what would happen to Meghan as a result of misreporting what happened in that story in the news. And, even further, no one put out a statement to clarify, or even if they weren't going to clarify, no one put out a statement to say that we don't want this thing to go any further. Let us deal with this internally. So, I don't know, but it's a question that I had for today that I wanted to ask you guys, and I wanted to ask, what does it mean to be a member of a society when a major leading figure goes missing? So if in our case, if the first lady went missing, because she is a kind of second lady, right? So if the second man, the husband of our vice president went missing and we didn't see him for a long period of time, would we be asking any of these kinds of questions? is it our responsibility to try and shine a light? And not only that, to push back against them and say, you guys are over here all up in Meghan's business and the princess's business. You guys need to get some business, because Meghan is over here living her life, and you guys have this scandal that's happening that you are not addressing in the media. So here's in this poem, Browning creates a character of chilling coldness and cruelty. The speaker as Duke, who's conducting negotiations for a bride. So he keeps getting new duchesses. And so every time he gets a new duchess, when he's trying to get this new duchess, people are asking questions. What happened to that duchess? That's my last duchess. Now I want a new duchess. So he's talking with the representatives of a potential father-in-law. Almost casually, he shows them the picture of the last duchess, whom he had unalived because he could not dominate her. So I'm not saying that that is exactly what's happening here, but I think that people are asking, allegedly these kinds of questions. So it makes me feel sad. It makes me feel a kind of angst, understanding that the princess is, I don't know where she is. It doesn't seem like, yeah, so I do care a bit about where she is, and I would like to have more answers around this. So I think that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, becomes a convenient diversion. Every scandal, every headline about her deflects attention from Catherine's absence. And the relentless media coverage of Meghan seems designed to distract and to mislead. Are we being manipulated to ignore the real mystery? I don't think that the squad is. Okay, so let's see. Annie says, sadly, this started when they showed her as the real... Yeah, that girl. Then she was the one who questioned. Yep. After those things came out, because what people don't often understand is you get to do the thing that you do to me, but you don't get to control the response, and you also don't get to control the narrative. So you can ask a question about, something that is going to hurt my feelings around my kiddo. I don't care. Like, if he was going to get to be the color of ebony, why are you asking that and saying that you're concerned? And so after you're exposed in the, was it Omid Scobie book? Whose book was it? It was Spare. After you're exposed in Spare and that thing comes out, then everything changes. And so what happens is the victim becomes seen as the victimizer. And so even with respect to how Harry was treated and his child was treated, somehow he's not the victim. The Duchess, Meghan, is not the victim. The victimizer becomes the victim, allegedly. And so we're asked to give them grace. We're asked to protect them. We're asked to say, we're asked questions about, why are you guys being so mean to Catherine when this news comes out? And at the same time, and then not too long afterwards, either they're really sick, right? And we get the news that both of them have the C word, or, some people believe that one or the other one may not be, and the news was put out there so that people would change the story. And if that's the case, that people are changing the narrative around what's happened with her so that she's protected, so that she doesn't have to answer questions. And I don't know that I saw a whole lot of, hate directed at her after these things were alleged. After the alleged incident around Archie's skin color was revealed in that Dutch Spare edition, I didn't see a whole lot of people saying, oh, I hate her. I mean, we hear some things in the squad. We heard people saying, yeah, that's a bait and switch. We heard those kinds of things, but I didn't hear a whole lot of things surrounding she shouldn't be this or she shouldn't be that. I heard a lot of, oh, you guys are misunderstanding. People say and ask questions about skin all the time. And asking a question around skin is not the same thing as being concerned about the skin color of somebody's baby. And so, we had the Blackamoor brooch, we had Prince Archie, and all of the articles coming out, including that hospital one with the chimpanzee that was put out in the media. But I didn't see a lot of people in the squad just going in after that. It was like, okay, that's just, you confirmed who that person was, we got you. And that was pretty much it. It wasn't this whole like targeted campaign of let's get them, because typically people in the squad are just really concerned about the people in the squad. And that's the vibe I get. That's the level of concern I see. And so, that's what it's been. So anyway, yeah, they started when they showed her as the real, so I hope that she's okay. I just came on for a really quick episode today and wanted to pop in and ask these questions. Let me get through the slides, and then, so again, this is the poem. If you want to take a look at the poem in its entirety, the Robert Browning poem around the princess, around that Duchess, and I think she has multiple titles. Here, is there a clue? There's the butterfly in the painting. Is there a clue around where she is? I don't know. I don't know, but I am asking that question. And, there have been magazine articles written about this thing. I think that it does deserve further study. We do see her wearing her hair very differently in this picture, and it does look like she may have had some added hair pieces. And at the same time, allegedly, her face looks healthy, right? So are those things for aesthetic reasons at this time? Because her eyes look clear. She looks pretty healthy on this picture to me. The only thing that stands out right now in this photograph is that, she looks like she tried to do something different with her hair, right? And so this is the article, one from the Daily Beast, that we may not see Kate back in an official role until as late as 2025. I'm told that Kate's diary for the year is empty. The sources said there's nothing planned. She may not appear in public for the rest of this year and again until 2025. Soon after the princess disclosed her cancer diagnosis, a source told the magazine, I think you will find when Kate makes a full recovery, she will come back even more passionate. So that's something that we can hope for. And with them trying to throw it off until 2025, it's interesting. So I'm going to conclude the episode here. I just really wanted to pop on and ask that question for today. And so hopefully you guys have a really wonderful rest of your day, and make sure you take care of yourselves. Do some breathing exercises. And that's all I have for today. So again, thank you guys so much for showing up today. I really, really appreciate the diehards. Have a wonderful rest of your day and take care. Bye-bye.